Hello and welcome to another episode of Talks Sabah, and I'm your host Joanna Henley Rampas. Policies can change lives, but only if they are enforced. In Malaysia, we have strong frameworks like the Child Act 2001, designed to protect children from neglect, abuse, and exploitation, as well as policies to advance women's rights and safeguards vulnerable groups. Yet, time and time again, what we have seen is just written on papers, but it doesn't always translate into protection in practice. So, one recent example recently was the bullying case. Until March 2025, Malaysia had no specific offence for it. Cases had to be handled under general assault or harassment laws, which often fell short, especially for sustained psychological harms. And now, the Penal Code Amendment Act 2025 criminalizes bullying in all of its forms: physical, verbal, psychological, and cyber, with penalties of up to 10 years of jail. It's a landmark step, but it's only one piece of much bigger human rights puzzles. And here in Sabah, challenges like limited resources, cultural sensitivities, and gaps in protection for stateless communities mean many vulnerable individuals still slip through the cracks, whether in school, in workplaces, or in their own homes. And today, I'm joined by Datuk Mariati Robert, SUHAKAM Commissioner, to explore why strong policies don't always deliver strong protection and how we can close the gap between paper and practice. Datuk Mariati, thank you so much for joining us this episode.
My pleasure, Joanne.
Right.
And just a brief correction. Actually, my term in SUHAKAM expired in June.
I see.
Yes, yeah. So whether it or not I will be renewed, doesn't matter. What I've been doing will be continued regardless of what post I hold. Yes,
amazing,
yes,
but for you to be here today and to give your insights about these issues, it's really, it's apt for what is happening right now.
True.
So thank you so much for coming. And let's move on to the conversation for today's episode. Now, let's talk about the policy and reality gap, as I've mentioned earlier, right? Over the last, how many years were you in SUHAKAM? 3 years in SUHAKAM, right? And I believe that you have done enormous works in terms of, Sabah's most pressing human rights challenges. For example, statelessness, we know for a fact here, right? It's been going on for decades. And
40 years, I think.
30, 40 years. And it hasn't been like, it seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
I see some light.
Hopefully, but yes. And as I mentioned earlier, right, on paper, Malaysia has strong laws and policies like the Child Act, for example, right, for child protection. In fact, Education Act 1996 for school governance. Again, there are many policies out there, but in reality, enforcement often falls short, right? So, in your experience, what are the biggest barriers preventing a strong human right protection, especially in Sabah's cultural and institutional landscape?
You want me to focus on the statelessness issue?
Yes, we can start with that one, and then perhaps we can move on into the case that the issue that is being mentioned now.
Because when you talk about statelessness in Sabah, what is it now? There is two categories that are being placed.
Okay.
One would be the bajau laut issue.
Yep.
Yes, so they are categorized as stateless. And the other one, of course, are those undocumented. Those who have been here for 30, 40 years, who do not call the Philippines mainly home. So that's why the government as well, they have two approaches to this.
Right.
So the further bajau laut is easier because they are classified as stateless. So they will not be arrested. Even if they are arrested, the moment they identified as bajau laut, they will be released. So the bigger problems are those who have been here for 30, 40 years without documents or with as it now, suspicious documents. Yes, so these are the ones that have bigger problems actually.
Right.
Yeah, because they can be arrested and they can be sent to the Rumah Merah because they don't have the correct documents. But the moment because there are few documents available, one is under the burung-burung And then you have a few IM13. So if they have documents like that, they will be released. And the thing is, if in Malaysian School of Education, for the if you must have a document, some sort of document to be in the government schools.
Right.
Yeah. So if so only certain kids can be government school, and sometimes they can only be there until primary 6 or form 3, and after that they're left on their own again.
I see.
Yeah. And for the Bajau Laut children, it's almost nil. Except for those who manage to get documents and things like that. So that is the situation when it comes to children. What is the Bajau Laut issue, the statelessness issue.
Okay.
Yes, and I think at least now there are clear policies, because we did meet the CM on all these things in a few relevant departments, and apparently it's the undocumented have been here for a long time. That one I think is still an issue, and even if it's being handled, I don't think it's shared openly, and we don't have access to that.
Even SUHAKAM doesn't have access.
But of course we know that it exists. There are certain avenues that we have, but not the complete thing.
I see.
Yes, and of course we offered ourselves to be in the committee, whichever departments that the committees that they have. So far, it's in the works.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned about there are two categories, right? There's the Bajau Laut, right?
And the one mostly
those are the sea gypsies, right?
Yes,
okay. And then you have the dubious what do you call this documents.
True.
But what about those who are these children that they are local but that they can't get their ICs? I mean, what do you consider that one?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of these children from pedalaman kan.
Yes, that one is okay.
Tiada IC and what is
we are not so worried about those who are indigenous to Sabah. The
Yes.
JPN is doing a good job getting all the documents and the mobile call and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they are actually it's being handled. If you're worried about that one I think is okay.
I think there is some sort. Sometimes people are getting like confused.
It is confusing.
It's very confusing, right?
That's why we focus about 2 years on this issue to get all the categories right.
Correct. Yes, and I think what's worrying, Datuk, is that statelessness in Sabah has a deep and historical and political roots of it, right? And often, again, as you mentioned, it's often tied to like migration patterns, documentation issues. At times, it's just worrying so much that it has gone into the political narratives now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, every time, and we know that, the issue has been propagated into, to politics. And how do we address this problem constructively without it being weaponized as political debates?
Because maybe simplistic on the part of SUHAKAM, but we felt that they have to be given documentation.
Right.
At least an ID to identify them. And then with that ID they can do certain things, like perhaps to work, because they are working anyway. Like now they cannot be formally employed, but they are working on the sly, and people are employing them. So we thought that an ID would be good. You don't have to give them voting rights, but that would be a starting point.
Right.
Yes, something, and you go along the lines of the IM13. Maybe after certain years you can extend it every 5 years, things like that, so long as they have good behavior.
Right.
But to us, we feel very strongly that they should have an identification document.
I think
that should help.
Yeah, but I think because when I've been going to the ground and listening to the feedbacks from the indigenous people, right? I think what is concerning is that they are afraid that they are going to be assimilated, i.e. given IC by ni?
Citizenship.
Citizenship,
And
correct.
Yes.
So, and then of course, some of them are also saying that, they're getting all the hospital rights like us, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So how do we address this? I mean, like, how do we try to make the people, our local people, understand that, number one, and what are the orang bilang what is the apa yang boleh menguatkan lagi mengatakan bahawa mereka ini tidak akan dapat IC, because I think ini yang masalah dia ni, Datuk, banyak orang di kampung yang mengatakan bahawa okay, kalau kita bagi documentation ini dengan dia, and then of course dia bilang ini dapat IC ni, dia bilang. Right.
So I think this communication is so important. Because when you give, let's say that, like we propose an identification, explain it. Don't do it on the slide when things are not transparent. So people start speculating.
Exactly.
Because to me, if you give them a document, fine, and these are the conditions that goes with the documents. Like IM13, you cannot vote in IM13. So try to follow the conditions as in the IM13. and work on it, improve on it, and give some assurance to the Sabahans, because I understand what Sabahans feel.
I guess,
Yes,
they need
I
some
do.
assurance.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, from you have been,
Yeah.
practicing in the legal field for, for many years,
Yeah,
and
longer than I
think,
like to think.
but I feel that what is the most concerning part is that we understand the fact that we need to document
Yes,
these
yes,
people,
yeah.
memang betul. Tapi at the same time, there is also that element where our local Sabahans are afraid that they are going to be assimilated. To which, again, as I mentioned, it's very important to also have communication. There's always been communication
gap.
breakdowns.
Yeah, I noticed.
Every single government, when we bring this up, memang kena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So
yes. That we know.
it's very it is very sensitive. It's a very sensitive
exactly,
issue.
exactly.
And I think every it has to be transparent also,
Yes,
right?
certainly, yeah.
Yeah, across the board, that look, when we give documentations to these stateless people, then perhaps we are assuring that you are not going to get citizenship.
Right. And the thing is, because with this documentation, they can work, they can pay
Yeah.
income tax, which is good. So
Yeah.
if they can go to the hospitals and pay for it. You might have a rate which is different. I mean, all these things have got to be threshed out. For citizens, perhaps a certain rate, and for non-citizens and residents, so they would be separate categories of payment.
It's very
Yes,
interesting when
yeah.
you mention about they can pay income tax.
If you have a document, you give them
Exactly.
and make them pay income tax. Because I
Exactly.
think that's the issue. Sabahans feel that they're getting everything for free. They
Correct.
get free water, churi, electricity. Oh, I've heard them all.
betul.
Yes, yeah. So if you give them documents and they can work and they can pay income tax, I think that's one way of mitigating it.
I think
Yeah.
it's very important for us
Yeah.
to see the positive atau benefits from the from the monetary point of view. I
Yes,
would
yes,
say,
yeah.
because they will help to increase the GDP of the state, right? If they are documented, well, they pay taxes.
Exactly.
And therefore, it also boosts and increases the GDP of the state.
True.
Perhaps that should be highlighted
Yes,
then.
I think we have spoken to the minister involved, and
Yeah.
he's very supportive on this kind of thing,
Right.
and giving them work,
Right.
and so they can be taxed and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the thing is, they are here to stay, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
That is one thing, I think we have to accept that. Few would like to go back, but most can't go back. This is home.
Yeah, and in part
Yeah.
of the, I think they are here for like what, four
Literally,
generations.
Yes, because they first come in the early 70s. So that would be the first, at least 2 or 3.
I think
Yeah.
what we have to draw the line here is that, I mean, this is my opinion about it, Datuk. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there needs to be a clear communication from the government, I suppose, and to assure that these stateless are not given citizenship should they be given documentation. Right? And on top of that, we have to tell and also to convey to the Sabahans by saying that, look, if we were to document them properly, obviously, and therefore they can be income taxpayers.
Exactly, and they can be gainfully employed.
Fully
Employers
employed.
can openly employ them.
Openly employed,
Yeah, yes.
and it will help us with our GDP of the state too.
Exactly, yes. It is a thing, because otherwise they will be employed on the sly. So both sides lose out.
Correct.
Because there's also, of course, this issue about them being criminal elements and things like that.
Yes.
Most of them commit crimes because they can find no better way. If they have a source of income, a proper source of income, I think most of them will not commit crimes.
And
yeah,
I think
that is the thing. Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think we've seen this during the COVID-19 case, right? When you had that vaccine going all around, and of course some of them are unable to go openly.
Yes.
To these to the was it KKM at that
Right,
time, right?
yeah.
To get vaccines, or in fact, not even that. They cannot be vaccinated, and therefore we are also vulnerable for all of this.
Yeah, because the virus don't know whether you're local,
Exactly, whether you are stateless or not stateless.
Exactly, yes, yeah. So we have to learn a little bit from the virus as well.
So yeah, I think there's benefits to it, but it has to be transparent and as well as proper monitor.
Yes,
Yeah.
because by and large, because in SUHAKAM we do a lot to the ground, to the
Yeah.
ordinary people, the non people who don't. Not to say, I mean, I have nothing against politicians for sure, but
Yeah.
those who are really filling it, they are quite open about giving them documents. Yes, but no voting rights. I don't know about there is, of course, we have the Royal Commission of Inquiry last time, I think in the 70s, because one of the recommendation is that, and they be given documents. So we thought in SUHAKAM that the follow-up will be good on that. So starting with the RCI finding. Yeah.
But the RCI finding is not going anywhere.
So that is one of the recommendation, is the documentation. So we are following up on that. SUHAKAM actually was following up on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And also last year we had this colloquium on statelessness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was quite interesting because I think that was the first time that we had people from both sides to the table, because we thought enough of pussyfooting about this issue. Let's address it. Yeah, so it's quite a good dialogue took place, and most of the proposals, of course, one of the main proposals was documentation as well,
right.
ID for these people who are here who have no place to call home. Yeah. So,
and do you think that it's supposed to be, I mean, like I mean, this is, I would like to ask this question of whether communication has to be from the politicians itself or from the, not NGOs, but like from the civil servants.
Civil servants, I would think. Yeah.
Right.
And there is one department, actually, I'm sure you'd be aware of that, under JKM, that deals with all these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so SUHAKAM works very well, works a lot with them. Yeah.
So what we conclude from this is that it has to be dealt by the civil servants itself.
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course you can get a lot of help from like SUHAKAM. We are one of the issues are very close to SUHAKAM's heart.
Right.
Because the thing is, we actually went to the ground and talked to the Bajau Laut and those who were undocumented, and they told us that what they really want, besides health care and whatnot, is to work. Because we asked them, let's say it is health, education, and let's say what is your priority? They said is to work first. The other things can come later. So that's how much they want to work. And there's so much work around. So if you can just look at it from that angle, I think employing them, they're making them useful as well. Because when you really go down to the ground with them, they are just like you and I. They want to survive. They want to have, roof over their head, and their kids can go to school. Things like this, just the same. Sometimes we forget that, because the negativity is so much, fairly or unfairly, So I think some understanding of the community as well would be good.
Right.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Okay, we'll take a short break. All right, Datuk, moving on, right? In light of this Zara's case, and I think it's rather apt for us to talk about the most important ataupun or the pertinent issue that has been going on for quite some time actually, but has been in the rise over the last 3 or 4 years or so.
Yes,
and we're talking about bully case, right? And the rise of bullying cases has increased from 300 cases in 2021 to 300 cases in 2021 to 2024 to 6,500 cases a year now. I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. It's either the bullying case is going up, or there are more people who are complaining about bullies, right? And you've basically, SUHAKAM has also called an urgent nationwide intervention of bullying, describing that, it is a systemic crisis of child safety as well.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you see, it's sad to see when bullying has become systemic, and it's sort of like, bully has been normalized by peers, especially those in school. In fact, it's so disheartening, and in fact, I'm very how should I say this? It's really sad to see, and I'm upset to see when there are many videos that goes viral, in schools where children will be just kicking another child, and considering the fact that they are all in high school, meaning in terms of the definition of child in Malaysia, 18 and below is a child, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And this child is bullying or hitting another child. As a mom, I find that, right, if my daughter was to get that, obviously I'll rage and so what do you think, what are the causes of this being in the system, being systemic now, and it seems to be normalized by children, and it's like, oh, they cannot bully, and even if you talk to even if you talk to adults, like myself too, right? You will always listen, you will always hear that they'll say that there is at least 1 or 2 occasions in their life that they've been bullied in school.
Right.
So what are your thoughts about this, Datuk? On this bully, budaya bully ni? Yeah.
And to me, it's a bit concerning because being a baby boomer, I don't see this when I was growing up. And I've stayed in hostels whereby if you have the seniors and the newbies, the seniors will be very protective of the young ones.
Okay.
So to me, this is something that I don't know what happened along the way.
Right.
Yeah. So that I think is also worrying. But anyway, that things are happening now. And so many cases seeing the light of day, going to court, federal court, and children getting charged for murder and things like that. So perhaps I think it's really, really time, as Dr. Farah herself said, that we really have to look at it in a wholesome way. Because even like I was mentioning just now about Zulfarhan's case, I thought that with that case, things have changed.
So let's put that into context. The Zulfarhan case was a 2017
exactly,
case.
Yes, and then the federal court made a ruling in 2025, recently, early this year.
Right.
So I would have thought that the institutions, like schools or military college, whatever, would really have acted quickly, because that was really a horrendous case.
Right.
Yeah, it really killed him slowly, not just quickly, which is really, really bad. So
Correct.
you would have thought that from there it has moved. But when you look at it now with President Zara's case, it doesn't look, and maybe things are moving along underground, which we don't know, but it doesn't look as if it has been addressed as seriously as it should have been. That is how it looked to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the policy itself, right? There are guidelines for handling bully in school.
Exactly,
that
because that was mentioned,
That was mentioned in 2023, right?
Yes, yeah. So what happened to that? Because apparently there are procedures there for the bullies to meet the victim's family, and there's a follow-up, and the teachers are appointed to handle all these things. So Dr. Farah brought up the issue, are they well trained? And is it being sustained? Because sometimes we have fantastic policies, but then it just lose steam along the way. So perhaps these are things that have to be looked at again. And then you have to follow it through and sustain it. I think the issue we have here is on sustainability. We have that problem from what I can see.
Sustainability, yes.
Yeah. How do you sustain it?
Yeah. And then just now, just before we started our podcast, I've read in the news that now they're coming out with a bullying complaint portal. Right.
And I thought there's one already. They got the name for it even. I can't remember what it's called now.
But it is anonymous. So by mean, before that,
Aduan Bully, that's what it's
Aduan
called.
Bully, right?
Yes.
And of course, before this, you have to name. I mean, the complainant have to basically
it looks
name,
like it,
right? But as of now, it's saying that there's a reform that you can complain a bully anonymously.
Yeah, so that's a good move, lah.
But of course, of course, we support the reform. Yeah, but it is important to also listen to the bully and the one being bullied too, right?
True.
So we have to look at it in a manner where it is also equally justice for both sides. I would say, and I like it when you say that the issue that we have now is there is a lot of policies that's going that has been done by the government, but what is the most crucial part is for it to translate into in how would we, as you mentioned just now, sustainability.
Yes.
Right. And following the case, right, the Zara's case, the Ministry of Education again announced new anti-bullying measures. Number one is comprehensive school safety audits across all schools. Upgraded anti-bullying reporting system with anonymous reporting, which is one, right? And a zero tolerance policies. Bullies can face suspicion or expulsion, and staff who fail to report can face disciplinary action, which I think it's
quite comprehensive.
It's quite comprehensive. These are strong steps actually, but the real question is with any human rights protection is whether these measures is enforced equally too, right?
And of course, whether it's communicated to all those matters, especially the students, and they got to know about it.
Right.
That's why when in SUHAKAM we have this program called SUHAKAM dengan Masyarakat, where we do visit schools. So we tell the kids their responsibilities. This is what happened when you go into crime, and this is what happened if you are the victim. So
Right.
both sides have got to be addressed, and of course, like for the bullies, they have got to be addressed as well, because they too have got human rights. And the thing is, you got to understand their makeup, what make them that. So with them, I think the approach should be that they should not, because sometimes the life of crime started at this stage. So if it's not addressed, it will just progress as they go older.
Right.
Yeah, so they've got to be addressed as well, to tell them that if they go on like this, they could end up being in the wrong place all the time.
Right.
And of course, we also address the issues of those being bullied, what they are supposed to do. And perhaps the usual advice, of course, you tell your peers or you tell your friends, somebody has got to be informed, and you got to tell your parents. And of course, we also address the issues of the bystanders, those who watch and do nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that these are the worst, frankly, because if you can't do nothing, at least tell somebody in authority. That's the least you can do.
Right.
And not take and then record them and put as a content. So that is what. So these are the people. Everybody has got to be involved. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's this whole situation or this case that has been it's under investigation now, which we won't go into the
Yes,
case
we won't go
itself.
to the facts,
But we won't go to the facts of the case. But I'm more concerned of the issue of bullying itself.
Yes.
As I mentioned just now, it's being normalized. It seems to be being normalized in the society now, especially in the younger generation. Now, before we move on to the law, or in fact the enforcement of these policies, as someone, I believe you have children and as well as
Yes,
grandchildren, right? Why do you think this is different from how you were before and now? I mean, what from your perspective, is it because that children now are more exposed to contents that is vulgar or in fact aggressive, or where do you think what is it different than last time and now?
I think it's the community. I think before, like in school, we know the parents.
Yeah.
So if your child misbehaves, the teacher will tell the parents. And we also know that. So there's a lot of communication between parents.
Right.
So if your child misbehaves, you will tell that parent. So they know about it and address it. I think that's one issue, perhaps. Like now, I think they say there is quite a lack of communication face to face. Plenty of communication on the phone, but you don't meet face to face and things like that. Perhaps that is where it happens as well. I think and of course, I think those days, so there are less people to start with. And in schools, you will have the disciplinary teacher and you have a club and there are the prefects. All of them play a role actually. Especially prefects, I thought, Yeah, because this is the first person that the victim should go to. Yes. So
Pengawas.
Yes, it's the pengawas.
Yeah.
They play a role. Yeah.
But I mean, if I were to add on that, I mean, I'm looking at more on the content of what all these children are being exposed now.
Yes, that too, of course.
Exactly.
Yes,
I mean, you can get easy access to YouTube, and all these
without
social
your parents knowing. That is the
exactly
thing.
social media,
and
sometimes when I look at it, it's pretty depressing to see. In fact, I myself sometimes feel like you get anxiety due to there's so much of information, to the point that when your brain just cannot process the whole thing, and for someone or these young generations whom physiologically, by scientific has proven that anyone below the age of 25, their frontal lobes of their brains are not fully developed yet, to which they make irrational decisions sometimes, And we've all been through that,
Yes, of course.
But it doesn't help when you have a surrounding or the environment that is also, you're exposed to a lot of aggressiveness and stuff like that.
I would think so. That was definitely one of them. Yeah, in the movies, you see, and when you see it in the movies, they get away with it.
Exactly.
The bad guys get away with it most of the time. So perhaps they think in real life it's also like that, and it's not.
Right.
Yeah. So I think a lot of communication, let's say, between the students and NGOs perhaps on this issue.
Right.
Like how when you do certain harms, there are consequences to your behavior. Like hitting someone doesn't mean that person will get up and walk away. That person can die and you can be charged with murder.
Yeah.
So these are the realities, Because last time when I was in MPWS for quite a long time, when we introduced about when they used this statutory rape, we went on and on about it. So eventually the kids knew, you don't touch a girl under 16.
Yeah.
You can be charged for rape. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it has got to be ongoing.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you have to keep on talking to the children. That is important. Yeah.
I think it goes both ways. Parents have to play their role as well to make sure that, I mean, you can't really control what your kids are doing outside of the house,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But
yeah.
at least to have that foundation of at least be good to others, be kind to others.
Be kind to
you know?
others. Yeah, compassion.
And then at the same time, I would say that, it's also from, if there's a continuous, talk, or from the government by saying that, look, these are the consequences of bully, and we have to ensure that every school, and we enforce this by saying that each school must have their own sort of like committee, just to make sure that this bully doesn't, it just goes
True.
skyrocketing, and
and
it's now, I mean, you send your child to school, you send your kids to school to be educated, not to be killed.
True.
You know what
Yes,
I mean?
I know. Yeah, so
not
it's
to
quite
be
early,
bullied.
Yeah.
And it can be very frustrating, and now as I know, I mean, my daughter is about 4 or 5 years old. Now I'm thinking what school to send her,
Yes, yeah. So it looks like you're going to monitor something like you have CCTV and everything in school now. That seems to be the thing to do.
It looks like
Yes,
it,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Like
And you might
every
have to do that.
classroom has to have a
Yes,
CCTV,
true. Yeah.
and I think that's a very good thing to
It
do.
might not be what is it now ideal, but that seems to be the what is it now, the immediate measure.
I think coming
Yeah.
from that, I think every school needs to put more CCTV in the
you
school,
just have
I
to do
suppose.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I sort of applaud of what the government is trying to do is to ban anyone who is below the age of 13 to have access to social media.
Yeah.
And I think that is a good step.
I agree too. As much as I like, you should allow them to make up their minds, but I think at 13 they need to be guided until about 18.
But
because
Australia
that-
is 16, right?
16.
Yeah.
There are some opposition, of course, but still, I think the government is going ahead with it.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Right. How do you see this? What do you hope then, for cases like this? I mean, I hope that there are no more cases like this coming, or even if there is, but it's like it's going to be like handled properly.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like, how do you address, the issues, children, let's say there's a situation in school where kedapatan membuli. I hope that it's going to be like every school take proactive steps for this.
I would really
right?
hope so. I mean, I had hoped that the Zulfarhan's case was a wake-up call. Apparently, it wasn't.
In
So
fact,
I
there are
just
more
hope-
cases after
yes,
that,
I think I
right?
hope that in memory of Zara, they will do that.
Yeah.
But really address the issue, because it can be addressed. I'm sure committees can be set up, prefects. Their peers, not so much the teachers. You need a lot of help from their classmates, their peers, their form captains. These people, I think, will have to play a bigger role. Yeah.
But that too, sometimes the
Yes.
prefects also can be bullied,
Of course.
you know.
Yeah, but so that's how it is, Yes, we can be bullies out everywhere.
Or
Yes,
perhaps,
yeah.
disciplinary teacher has to.
Yes, so
be
there's
more
a clear
garang,
line.
I don't
Yes,
know.
a clear line. You start with the form captain, perhaps, and the prefects, and there's a clear line of, just like in courts, you get charged, and there's a procedure.
But
Yeah.
sometimes, right, when you look at, sometimes when you see these videos that goes viral, right, they normally do it outside of school,
Yes, so it's yeah.
Dia memang like,
But it's
macam
still a
kalau
group.
kita tengok kan
Yeah.
gambar like the videos and whatnot, everything happens outside of the school. Of
Yes.
course, they'll be wearing school uniforms,
yeah.
but all this bullying only happens outside of school.
True. But
So how do we address
yeah,
that
that
then?
one is a bit hard. Yeah, but the thing is, I think you really have to have classes on issues like this. That I think that would something that would help.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. And it has got to be ongoing, or at least once a month, or things like that to be remembered. And the thing is, I think even though you don't want to make a bad example of a bully, but he has got to be identified to a certain extent, so that it's not glorified.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the thing. So we don't want to punish a young person unnecessarily to break him down, but there has got to be a penalty, to a certain extent that he has got to, a lesson has got to be learned. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how can stronger enforcement make sure that, all these measures that are coming out now, all these policies that are coming out would be more than just announcement? How do we ensure that this the measures or this announcement will not just be an announcement, but
Right,
it
yeah.
has to be done. Titik, full stop, no more after this.
Maybe a public, what is it now? Keeping the public informed as to what they have done.
But
Yeah, that's one way, and yes, yeah. Because otherwise it's silence. We don't know whether it's being done or not done, just like what Dr. Farah mentioned in her earlier statement. She was saying that all these procedures are on, but we are not told whether it's being sustained or not. So I think perhaps regular updating would be good to start with. Yeah, what is being done in this particular, what has been done, and what the reviews and the reports that they have to give. There must be an oversight body. Maybe that's one way of doing it. Yeah, just to make sure it's done. Even let's say like board of directors, you have meetings every 3 months, every 4 months. So at least you have to know what's going on. Like maybe that is what's lacking. I think that they have good policies, but is it being sustained? Are reports being given? And then reports are given. Because like in SUHAKAM, we have an annual report.
Okay.
So there's an annual report which is given to Parliament. So you know what they've been up to the past 1 year. And then since under PMX, it is debated. Before that, it was just given to all the MPs. And if they want to bring it up, it's fine. But now it's debated. So whatever is done, it is explained what we are doing, which departments are not not responding well. So everything is there. So perhaps that kind of report has got to be tabled in Parliament. So at least we know what is going on. That's just an analogy. I mean, they can do other things.
But this is some recommendations or it's like some ideas that we can put onto the table. Now, I'm also wondering, right, if we look at how do we ensure that the bully doesn't become systemic, or it just is not a widespread thing among the kids. I would say the kids, right? Do you think that increasing, making the penalties more harsher could do like any changes of it, or like should we go use another method like psychology, like psychiatrists or any of that sort method?
I would really believe that the first step should be engaging with the bullies, especially I think because they're the ones causing the more harm. Engaging with them on their behavior and try to understand. That will of course be the first step. Right. But of course there's the limit to how much you can engage. Yes. If it's an actual crime is committed, I suppose you do have to let the police take over the whole situation, because there are laws. And does it now for younger people? You have the Henry Gurney, which is quite flexible. Things like that. And of course, there's bond of good behavior, because sometimes they need that wake up call. Because we try to engage first. That is the top priority. And if it really sometimes a stronger sense of correction have to be in place.
Right. Is it not enough now in this?
Like it. If based on all the reports we have, maybe it teach some people, but some it didn't.
Right.
Yeah, because when you look, I feel like Zul Farhan's case, it's just one person starting it and a few people follow. So perhaps that group thing, doing to one person. It's 7, 8 people.
It looks cool, like you're in the gang or something like that, right?
Maybe this group thing have got to be addressed.
Yeah. Again, as I said, everything happens outside of school.
But this one is in the hostel.
In the hostel, I know, but I mean,
yes, of course.
That's why, So I think this is something, and I think that every agencies have to take a proactive action on this, because now you see, it's as I mentioned earlier. I said, all these bullies don't happen in school; they happen outside of school.
Yes. Maybe they have to do something like what the drug enforcement agencies are doing.
Correct.
Really, really addressing it in one whole agency. Looking at that, so not just it. Perhaps that's one way,
Or make it under KDN, so it's a bit more like...
It has to be addressed very, very seriously by the look of it.
Yeah.
Because now it's even in a girls' school. Normally it's in a boys' school.
Yeah.
And
it's happening now in a girls' school, right?
Yeah, that is quite alarming. I was thinking to myself, like in this school, it's a female school.
Right. And I guess, it's just, but the good thing now is that, people are more aware about it, which it has caused a wave of where we can see people are just having solidarity of not only for this case, but again, people are realizing that, look, bully has to stop.
Yes.
Government, you have to do something about it.
True. No more just policies.
No more policies, it's just going to be like announcement after announcement. But again, like you mentioned, Datuk, if there's no enforcement, there's no sustainability of the policies that you make, and it's just going to be a writing on a paper.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's just like, you just have to be consistent about it. Just like this introduction of the non-plastic paper bags.
Yes.
Yes, it starts like that, Eventually people live with it.
Yes.
So maybe that's the way. You have to start on the ground level, low, and you start low and go up.
Go to the grassroots level.
Yes, you really have to, it's hard work,
I think, I'm talking about this bully issue again. I think, it takes a whole village to
Yeah.
to really ensure that the safety of our children are taken care of. It's not only the parents, it's not only the teachers, it's not only the school or the government, but it is the whole society that has to play and act accordingly in order for us to, contain this. To be even worse.
I think even the religious part of it. Let's say the
Oh,
churches,
yes.
why
Yes.
not? Churches, Muslims, everywhere. Talk about it, So
Mm.
perhaps that's one way. And because I was in a mission school before.
Okay.
So if primary 1 onwards, you have religious classes. So maybe I know it's like that now, but that's how they do it. It's instilled, Because
Yeah.
no religion asks you to hurt another
Exactly,
person.
right?
So from primary 1 onwards, you have all this religious class. So perhaps you go back to basics. Sometimes I think go back to basics the old-fashioned way. It works.
I guess,
Yes,
our old-fashioned ways of mothers coming out. Okay lah, no rotan lah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes, like
there's
this
always
one.
this people saying that soft way of parenting and stuff.
Because I thought that was what we had since primary 1. It's instilled.
I remember when I was growing up. Of course, we are on totally different era,
Yeah.
Datuk. But I think I was still in that era where disciplinary teachers everyone is scared of
Of course. Oh, I went through that as well.
Guru discipline,
Yes, yeah. And you get caned.
Exactly.
Something
Of course, you
I
cannot.
detest that. Anyway.
Of course, under the Child Act, you
Yes, of
cannot.
course
You cannot cane
and you shouldn't
anymore.
actually, but
But
you survive.
it seems that the Asian way of parenting seems to work very well with us
Yeah.
before, I mean, I remember the time when I was growing up, right? And you see the guru disiplin punya kereta datang di sekolah, like everyone would just be
Yes,
running
yeah.
away. But it seems now like, teachers are being bullied. I mean, recently what happened is one of the school in Kajang, I suppose, where the student actually went and,
Actually.
tumbuk the teacher.
True.
They punched the teacher, and what is going on with the society now? What is going on with these children now?
And I think I prefer counselors and not disciplinary teachers, frankly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's a kind of word. Because disciplinary teachers somehow or other, when you see a disciplinary teacher, it does something to your ego. So they call them counselors.
So counselor teachers?
Yeah, counselors. At least they can see them and
Yeah.
easy access. So I think that's one way of doing things.
Yeah. I think, it's that's why I say, even if we live in a different era, but I think the Asian parenting way is
Yes.
still the best so far, without the caning though.
Yeah. And I do believe you have to communicate with these bullies, honestly. I am more concerned about them sometimes than the bullied, frankly, because people sympathize with the bullied.
Correct.
But the bullies have got to be addressed as well. Yeah.
I mean, you have to, I think we don't know what is the reason why they are also acting like that.
That's right,
We
yeah.
have to look into the root of the problem
True.
and say, like, okay, what exactly make you bully other people? Is it
Yes,
because you get bullied by self somewhere else? You know what I mean?
For example, peer pressure as well. They like to be in a group and things like that. And it's
Yeah.
cool to be in this group, And of course, for young people, they don't really see the consequences of their act. That's the thing that saddens me. Because as I was telling you just now, I said we do go to prisons a lot. And some of them were caught, sentenced to participate to prison and whatnot when they are in their late, let's say early 20s. And they'll
Early
be there for about
teens,
10, 20 years. So you just see their life, just pass by just like that. Over something quite minor sometimes. So these are things that I don't want to see bullies end up like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what I want is a school, an education system, or a school that is safe for all our children.
Yes, yeah.
Again, as I said, you send your children to school to get educated,
Right.
not to come to school and find it that, going to school is such a taxing thing for them. If it's taxing for you to pass the exam, it's fine.
Yes.
But if it's taxing because that you have to face the bully, and I think that is not a healthy environment
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, and I think what is it now? Students have got to be taught as well the avenues they have when they're being bullied.
Yes.
That has got to be very, very clear. So they're not scared to talk about it.
I think one of the thing is as well, people, you see the ones that are being bullied are scared.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And if they're gonna say their names, and then once that's done, nanti kena bully lagi
Yes.
after that,
and and parents as well. I think when they're told, they should also really have to do something immediately.
Yeah.
Because some parents, because they will say, biasalah itu, that kind of thing,
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. So that is
biasalah tu bergaduh di sekolah, you know what I mean? But I think
take
that's
it more
not right
seriously
too,
as
right?
well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, of course, sometimes you overreact lah. Because when my Chuchu sent me a message to say that, that, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to school today. I really jump up the roof lah. And I asked my son, I said, are you sure you're not being bullied in school?
Yeah.
You so overreact. But sometimes it's good to overreact and just let it pass.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. Just find out what's happening. Because little messages like that, when they say, I don't feel like going to school today, maybe they're trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
And parents have got to be very alert as well, I think.
Yeah. I truly believe in that, like, it's also, we have to really, like, I like the word being alert of how the behavioral changes of the child itself too, right?
And the words they say, sometimes they don't tell you directly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're scared.
They're scared. Because they don't want you to come to school and at the gate and create a chaos as well. So they got to worry about a lot of things, besides the bully the parents as well. So these are things. So the parents have got to really act cool as well.
It's just to share some perspective on this, my own experience. I wouldn't say being bullied, but I was always I don't know, there's this word in kalau Sabah bilang kena olok-olok bang.
Yalah.
Okay, I don't think that's bully, but kena olok. Reason being is that my surname, if you see my surname is Joanna Su Henley Rampas.
Yes.
So of course, right, with the name Rampas in Melayu and Bahasa Melayu is called in English is to snatch kan. Right. So Rampas is like, ini dia datang sini mau merampas kita lah ni, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that is a very minor thing, I would say,
but you wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't like it. It's not
yeah.
as bad as being hit and being
right,
bullied and whatnot, but even a minor thing like that, I was thinking to myself, I was telling my mom when I was growing up, I say, why did you give me that? Why you have that surname? Because it's stressful for you to go to school, because already you are trying to achieve something in school, and then you also get mocked on your name. You just the name, and it's so stressful. Sometimes I ask my mom, I say, can I not go to school today? Reason being is that I don't want them to go and cakap my name, cakap my name, to say my name, it's just so bothering. So I can imagine
and
if
you're
it's
a young child,
I
having
was
to
a young
carry
child.
that is the
exactly.
thing.
But I got to a point where I think different children have different approach to things.
True.
So as for me, I was like, I just brushed it away to one point.
I was like that as well. So I was not, thank God, never subject to bullying. And I don't bully others either. So to me, it was just wasn't in my vocab.
Yeah.
To bully anyone until now, I just don't like bullies per se. Full stop.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember those days, and then there was one time that I started crying going to school because I didn't like when my name Joanna Rampas, like that. And then when I went,
and the more you act, the more they
like it. That's the thing, So I remember going through that, and then there was one point that my mom said okay, saya datang pergi jumpa ko Mia Cikgu, and I said no, don't, and then that's the thing. So I remember there was one time that it got to a point where my mom had to go and see the teacher because I was crying going to school. I think I was about 9-10 years old at that time. And then it's also stressful for my mom to come to school.
Yes. So the intervention.
So I better just keep quiet. Don't say anything. You know what
and
I mean?
This is quite mild relatively, but still,
it's
it bothered
very
you.
Mild, of
but
course,
still.
right?
That's why I was thinking parents have a role to play as well. So that's one. Parents.
And different, as I mentioned, different children have different reaction to these issues. Some I just brush it off. Like for myself, I'm sudahlah, whatever, it's not going to go anywhere. But some take it seriously.
Yes.
And it causes mental breakdown to the person.
True. Yes, yeah. So these are things that need to be addressed.
And I think, mental health also plays a big role in this.
And mental strength.
Mental strength.
Yes.
Again, back to the foundation, starts at home too.
True.
Right. And religious, from the religion point of view.
Especially when you're younger. I think that you need that foundation.
Well, Datuk, it has been a very, very interesting conversation today. And today's conversation actually reminds us, right, that policies alone don't protect people, but people do.
Yes, and I think it's always important that we stay humane.
Humane.
That you are dealing with human beings. Always remember
We
that.
are humans
Yeah.
that needs to stay humane.
True. It doesn't
Right.
matter whether they're documented or they're weaker than you, whatever it is, you're dealing with human beings. You got to be kind to animals, what more to human beings.
Exactly.
That's always been my policy.
Yes.
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 And I think that the Zara case may have brought attention on one issue, of course, as we mentioned, very thoroughly about Buli. But the bigger challenge is that making sure that our system truly works.
Yes.
For
Wake up
us.
once and for all. I'm
Yes.
just so tired of committee after committee. I've heard enough of that, really.
In fact,
Yes, yeah.
this is something that again, also again, it's not only you that's tired, but I'm bothered by the point that committees, kita tubuh satu committee, and then another one, and then after that another committee comes
Yeah.
up. But
I tell you, the moment they say going to form a committee, my first reaction is, here we go again. I can't help it. Every time they say the committee is going to be set up, here we go again. That's the thing.
right. And I always say to my colleagues, right, I mean, this is the committees for like, for example, other committees, like other issues like MA63 and so forth, right? I mean, this is just a side note, and it's just committee after committees after committees. And I say, right, ini macam panadol saja ba ini? Mo kasi
I think
tahan
that
sakit
the
saja.
important thing is you must now have a press conference after that. This is what I mentioned about MA63. Because
Yeah.
when I was in the first committee, the two ministers in charge, they have a press conference after every meeting. And I mentioned this to one politician who took over later. I said,
Yes.
you need that. Just so people know what's going on.
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, they speculate. And the same with this Buli thing. I think when
Yes.
you announce this, 1 month later, come back to the public and say, this is what we have done. All the schools have been set up. And come back again and again and again. That kind of thing.
Again,
then
it's
people know
communication.
that the committees are working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than just, like having set up committees and saying that we are doing, but
Yeah, and in silence.
di mana?
Yes,
Where is it?
yeah, because nowadays
Right.
people want to be informed. It's like the good old days, no more. That's the thing. They accept official words as now, no, they
Yeah.
question. And just as well. So you do your job, you get paid, to do your job.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
So I think, closing the
Okay.
policy and practice gap
Yes,
also,
yeah.
right, means like addressing the barriers,
Right.
building accountability in that manner, and as well, at the end of the day, it's about empowering community too,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So, Datuk Mariati, thank you so much for sharing your insight and experience today.
My pleasure, Joanne.
This is one of my most enjoyable podcasts. And to all our listeners, policy change starts with understanding our role in making it real. You've been listening to Talks Sabah. I'm Joanna Henley Rampas. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe on all our social media channel and take care, take action. Sabah cakap, Malaysia dengar.